Every episode of The Angry Chicken is made possible by our amazing patrons over at patreon.com/tack. For more of Jocelyn's content, check out jossplays.com, and if you can't get enough of Ridiculous Hat, follow him over on Twitter at Ridiculous Hat. The Angry Chicken is a production of A Move TV.
Time's up. Let's do this.
Legendary!
You face Jaraxxus. You smell like a leopard gnome. I knew it. So hot. A podcast about Hearthstone and Battlegrounds. This is The Angry Chicken.
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 501 of The Angry Chicken. I am your host, Ridiculous Hat. Anchoring this week, Josh still out, working through some stuff, but we have a very special guest, a new buddy, is joining us. We've got Slysssa. Hello, Slysssa.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you? How's life in the new BG's world?
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, I think crazy is the best word I could use to describe Battlegrounds right now.
I feel like they saw you jump into pool and was like, how can we make this happen more often? Let's just shake some stuff up.
Yes.
Well, listeners, we have a BG's packed episode this week. There's a lot of news that happened everywhere in Hearthstone, but I want to talk to Joce about the new standard expansion, so prepare for a lot more card talk, and next week, when Joce is back, we're going to talk about the new expansion, we're going to talk about the new patch, all the stuff that changed, but this week, we have a lot of BGs to work through, and so that's really going to be the focus of this week's episode. But, a little bit of standard talk. Before we get to that, we do have to thank our epic patrons. Josh H., our newest patron, thank you so much for supporting us. You can become a TAC patron by going to patreon.com/TAC, and it gives you access to the TAC Discord server. Let's not waste any time here. We got a lot to work through. We're going to jump right into the news.
Good news, everyone!
Oh, man. I feel like last week they did nothing, and this week they're like, no, we're just going to do everything. Yeah.
With Hearthstone?
With Hearthstone.
Yes.
So there's a new expansion announced, the Festival of Legends, for the people that were not as connected to all the Warcraft stuff that happened this past year, because all the expansions for a while have been really lore focused on WoW, because what they did, Sunken City and Nathria and March of the Lich King, it's all really big story beats. This is just a music festival.
Yeah, I'm actually really happy about that because I don't come from the World of Warcraft lore, so I don't know a ton about it, while my husband does. But something like a music festival and seeing all the different heroes linked to different music types is kind of cool. Though I don't agree with a lot of them, but we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. Some of them just seem perfect. Demon Hunter is emo. That seems pretty perfect. But everyone I've talked to is like, why isn't Warlock disco? That's like a mechanical link.
Why is Warlock classical? Like what? That right? That's a classical one.
It's strange.
Yeah, I would say most of them were strange to me. There was like 3 I agreed with.
Well, like, a Death Knight as death metal is pretty, like, that's a gimme. That's a low-hanging fruit. And hippie druid, like, all right, I feel that.
But I don't feel Hunter.
Folk
Hunter,
music.
They said is folk music. What?
What would you do for Hunter?
Hunter? Not folk. To me, like, Hunter is more aggressive. More, like, Warrior got rock. I could see Hunter getting rock, too.
Maybe Hunter
Warrior
should be, like, ska.
Screamo.
Hunter should be ska.
I guess Hunter gets ska? No.
You don't think so?
No, Priest should have gotten ska. Because some people hate and love Priest, and some people hate and love ska.
Okay, I follow that logic. And then you can give pop to Hunter, because Hunter is always popular. There we go, see?
Okay.
They should have contracted you for this.
I know. It's okay.
It's all right. But I love the vibes going on here. Leo, the design lead on this set, did a really fun video where he like dressed up in the different genres. That was really enjoyable. And just you can tell the Hearthstone team is totally vibing out about this set. That they're all really excited about it. So
yeah, it's very fun to see. So I like it. It's very, I guess, like I feel like the theme is super cool. Something they seem to really enjoy.
Well, I mean, when you were playing a lot of Standard, that was when Hearthstone started to do the weird Hearthstone-y stuff that, like, I remember League of Explorers, everyone was trying to figure out what are they going to do, and they're like, oh, we'll just make something up. And One Night in Karazhan is like, all right, let's go back to a WoW place, but make it sparkly and disco and all that. And they were really exploring their own identity, and then it feels like the last couple of years they kind of went back to the classic WoW stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, like, for me, when they were doing stuff like that, and they were doing, what did they do? There were certain times where they were doing Horde versus Alliance, and I'm like, I don't know what character's which because I didn't play, so I don't even know. And so I kind of like that they're exploring just more fun stuff again.
Yeah. Curious to see what this year looks like in terms of all 3 expansions, how they lay them out. Because we seem to go every other year, it's connected and then individual. And last year was more lore connected. The year before, we had the arc with the mercenary characters. I wonder what they'll do this year if they're all just going to be kind of freeform like this one.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
You think so? Well, we'll see. We did get some new keywords. Finale is the set's keyword, where if playing a card with Finale spends all of your mana, if it's the last thing you do on any given turn, you spent all your mana, then it does something a little bit extra. Really fun mechanic, really rewards smart sequencing. And there's a new class keyword. I think this is actually pretty important. Priest is getting a new evergreen addition to their class identity. This is the new Priest class keyword, starting in not just Festival of Legends, but also core sets. It's called Overheal. Minions with Overheal, they trigger a special effect when they're healed above their max. It works even if they're at full health. So this is something that Priest has always struggled with. What happens when I have healing and nothing is damaged? Because the traditional Priest play is turn 2, emote, the light shall burn you, and heal the opponent. That's always what Priest has done when they don't have anything to do. So now with Overheal, you can play something with Overheal on 1 and then Overheal it on 2 and something will happen.
I bet all the Priest haters out there are very upset about this. They just want to delete Priest, and they're like, oh, no. Let's just make Priest better.
Or at least different, right? Because Priest has been the butt of jokes for a long time. They've redone the core set more than once. And then they had to give it a whole new mechanic with the shadow stuff, which I think worked out pretty well. I'm really curious to see how large this rework is in the core set as well, because it seems like a big deal.
Yeah, it seems spicy. I'm a fan.
We know that they love spicy changes. I had penciled in 2 hot pepper emojis for this year, but I think we're already at 3, and we have the opportunity to go even higher. So, there are a bunch of other mechanics here. Harmonic spells that swap back and forth between harmonic and dissonant. Some flavor writer had fun with that. There are soloists that do something special when they're the only minions in play. And the new legendary that is in the client right now, it's called ETC Band Manager. It's a little complicated. This is a 4-mana 4/4. When building your deck, you assemble a band of 3 cards, and when you play him, you discover one. In Magic, this is called a sideboard. It's actually called the same thing in this game. When you're building your deck, you pick 3 extra cards. They have to match the same rules of your deck. If you're playing DK, it's got to match your runes. You can't add extra copies of anything. But they're not actually in your deck. And then when you play this, you go and pick one. You get a little bonus choice. Little 3 extra cards. You kind of build your own Zephyrus.
This is great for tournaments, for, there's certain cards you just need specifically for Rogue or specifically for Priest, and you don't need them all the time. For example, like a Weapon Breaker. You just don't need those versus Mage and whatnot, so I think that's pretty awesome.
You sound like a real-life Standard player right now.
I did play it for many years.
You did? I mean, weren't you like Rank 2 Legend? Isn't that? It's pretty good.
At one point, yes.
I remember. You told Gary that. I saw that video.
I did.
Yes.
I did.
And yeah, you're right. Like, the flexibility here seems valuable, though the cost is pretty high. It's from this card being out a couple days, it doesn't look like this is the next coming of Renathal. It's not completely warping Standard, but it's a fun card. Cool to have around. New deck building mechanic. We also got a little bit of a preview. this is kind of a big deal. They have completely redone how signature cards look and work. And signature cards were, I mean, you saw the last ones, they look like tombstones. And we felt like that was by design, but they were really hard to tell apart on the board. It was just one tone. They look so different now. Audio listeners, I can't really relay to you how much of a rework this is, but they're full art frames, very colorful, only have the name on the bottom, no card text. You actually hover over the card to see the card text. They are gorgeous.
You had a poster on your wall of your favorite band. That's what your card is now. It's just the poster.
Yeah, that's maybe that was a purpose. Maybe that was a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's way better, right? Like the previous one, previous signature, when they'd play the card, I'd have to hover over it to look at what it is because it looked nothing like the real card. It was so muted and dull. These look interesting. I don't know if I love it still, but maybe if I were playing and saw it in play, I might change my mind.
It's clear that they heard our feedback at the very least.
Yeah.
And it's clear that they made big changes and big improvements.
Yeah. I could definitely see myself being like, okay, Pyros is my favorite card art. I want the signature for that because I just love the full card art of Pyros. So yeah. I could see it.
It seems like it's a lot closer to what people were envisioning when they thought full art cards. And it's also worth noting there are some system level changes. You can disenchant these now for the same disenchant value as a gold and legendary. So if you really don't like these, you don't have to keep them anymore. Right now, you get it. It's still an upgrade from a common, but some people are like, I'm just never going to play with this. I'd rather have the base legendary. You can go get that now. And you will just open these the same way you did before, where they're just randomly in packs. But they're no longer part of the Mega Bundle. And signature packs have gone away to be replaced with just the regular golden packs. Basically, everything is going back to the way it was, except sometimes you'll high roll one of these in a pack. Okay.
I like it.
Really glad they listened to the feedback, and we'll see what further improvements they make. And that's the announcement for the expansion. We also got a very large patch, the 25.6 patch. Now, keep in mind, a lot of this is BGs related, so we're going to talk a lot about this when we get to BGs, because they made foundational changes to the mode's rules. Talked about ETC already. There is a cool event track where you get to pick a headliner, one of 3 standard skins.
I picked the mage.
Mix Queen Ajara. You have to. Jam Kingdom. You have to pick the queen.
I'm curious which one was picked the most. The druid, the queen, or is the third one warrior?
Yeah.
It was warrior, right?
Rocker Rokara, Flower Child Lunara, and Mixed Queen Ajara. Ajara's the first one, and the mage. Mage is always the most popular, so I wouldn't be surprised if she was the winner. That's definitely who I picked. But whoever you didn't pick, listener, don't worry. You can get them in the shop in 26.0. You can buy them. You're not stuck with just one forever. But for the event track for now, it's a free skin for the next 2 weeks. So just finish your quest and you can get it. There is also a new Battle Bash coming. Finally, more Corgi cosmetics. The fans' cries have been answered. 10 Corgi Cup themed items, an epic strike, an epic board, 5 different skins, is that a Corgi bartender?
Oh, it better be.
Is that Corgi
I haven't
Bob?
looked at these yet, if I'm being honest. There's so many cat things in Battlegrounds. It's fine. I like cats, but I'm a dog owner, so I've always wanted more dog stuff.
Dog enthusiast, I'd say. Once you had 3 dogs, that's a lifestyle choice.
It is. My neighbors definitely see me as the crazy dog lady. I walk my dogs twice a day.
They walk you. They're very energetic.
Yes.
So this is coming March 21st, and I am definitely interested because there are so many adorable Corgi things going on here. Just the little emotes. That Corgi side-eye, I'm here for just the Corgi side-eye.
Yeah, I need the Corgi emotes now.
soon.
To add to my Happy Cow collection.
Yes, it's so hard to pick emotes now. I definitely am feeling the 6 emote cap because there are so many that I want to run. Like, I don't know when I would use Pizza Sylvanas, but I want my opponent to see Sylvanas eating a slice of pizza on a routine basis, and I don't know where to fit that into my life.
I only use 3. So I could use a few more, actually.
So what, you're on Happy Cow? Do you still have
Happy
Murloc
Cow.
Wave?
No. I have Sad Cat. Maybe those are the only 2 I use.
Happy Cow, Sad Cat. So we need another emotional animal. It's very clear that we need more emotional animals.
Yes, definitely.
Well, March 21st, it's coming. As a reminder for the Battle Bash, you buy it, everyone gets 1 hit for free. If you buy it, you get 2 more, and then every top 4, you get another hammer, up to 7 to unlock everything. And you have a few weeks to finish that. Usually it's 3 weeks, I think, to get 7 top 4s. All right. Well, a lot of other stuff changed. So let's make sure that we talk about the non-BGs things, or at least the bugs, because there were a couple bugs. So first of all, if you had an Android, a Pixel phone, and it wasn't working before, it's working now. They fixed Enhanso Mechano, where it buffed magnetic minions, then you would magnetize it, the ability would go away. They fixed that. There were some issues on launch day, through yesterday, with disconnects. And with, we have Slysssa here as our special correspondent on the field. What was going on? Because your first day, you were miserable.
I do not tilt. Like, if you watch my streams, I am what you would consider one of the least salty streamers, I would say, of Hearthstone. I was miserable. I actually went behind the scenes and asked the devs of Hearthstone to shut down Battlegrounds if they weren't going to have a fix within the minutes. That is how annoyed I was of this disconnect issue, because what was happening was players were disconnecting as they were entering the combat phase, and then you wouldn't see the combat, which is actually fine sometimes. Like, sometimes you just want to get back to the shop and shop, whatever. But most of the time, you couldn't get back into the shop until like 10 seconds till your next combat. And so by the time you got back, there was no time to purchase anything. And then there's this lag issue, so you couldn't play anything. And then all of a sudden you're into your next round and you're just like, but I didn't do anything. And this was happening almost every game for me. Certain games it didn't happen. It was chaos. I lost my mind.
You can swear in this show. You can say my shit. You can say that.
I almost said my shit and I was like, I don't know. I'll say my mind.
I appreciate your diplomacy, but I said it for you. It reminded me a little bit of that issue we had a couple expansions ago in Lobby Jail, where just some lobbies, the server would just fail. And you would be stuck. This time, you weren't stuck, which almost made it worse, because you could see yourself and what you could have done. And the other one, you were just stuck in the reconnect screen, and nobody got anything. This, you could see things not function, which is way worse. Way worse.
Yeah, and you don't know if your opponents are getting back and reconnecting sooner because maybe they have better internet than you or something. You know, if you're streaming, you're using a lot of bandwidth, so you're just like, oh, it was so miserable. But they fixed it.
Yes. Did they fix it yesterday or today? I know today you were fine. I scrubbed through your vibes.
Oh, they fixed it. I think they fixed it day of, by that night, because by that night, late night, I played a game and I didn't have an issue. And then I woke up at 3 a.m. and played a game and I didn't have an issue. So I think they fixed it relatively fast, but not I think it took maybe 6 hours or something.
In the grand scheme of things, that's fast. Thank you very much for Hearthstone Live Ops team for working through the night and taking care of it. But also, my heart goes out to all the content creators that wanted to play the new content and instead got a frustration simulator.
Yeah, because that was the other thing, too. You're a content creator, right? Your job is to make content. You need to get good games through YouTubes and whatnot. And then you're like, well, if I quit and all the other streamers are still trying, then they're going to get the content before me. And then you're just like, I got to keep going. I got to keep pushing and trying to make this.
I'm sure you got You got a lot of good facial expressions for YouTube thumbnails. Whenever you need
I'm
frustration
sure.
thumbnails, just scrub through that VOD. You got it covered. Yeah.
Yes,
A lot of
yes,
really organic
100%.
responses.
Very organic.
There are a couple small bugs that are still out there. So mobile players in particular, you can't listen to music or podcasts in the background right now. There is a bug with background audio, so they temporarily disabled Hearthstone's ability to play audio in the background from other apps while it's open. They know about it. They're gonna fix it. But there are a lot of mobile players out there that love listening to music or podcasts while they play. And I heard from a bunch of them, like, this is a bigger issue than I think the team might have realized. And it is also cross-platform on both iPhone and Android right now.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this, I'm sure you're not playing at the same time. And I apologize for that.
Same. Yeah. Gosh, this directly impacts my livelihood. Blizzard, please help.
Yes.
It'll be fun. It'll be fine. Everyone will catch up later. They're going to come here to listen to you. It's worth it. This is better than a couple lobbies.
Yeah, I feel bad. I had a viewer say, I always play Battlegrounds as I'm rocking my baby to sleep, so I have to play, music on the background. He plays it from his phone. He plays lullabies, and he's like, I can't
sad.
play Hearthstone anymore.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
Man. Well, I know they'll fix it soon, so
yes, they're
keep an eye out for that
working
fix.
on it.
It will take a client fix, so I'm not sure if they're going to ship an emergency patch for it, or we'll have to wait 3 weeks for 26.0, but we'll see what happens. And we don't have a timing on 26.0. That's just my projection. Not official. Don't quote me. Denathrius is temp banned right now because I guess buddies and quests don't get along at the moment, so they're working on that because they both take up the same spot. Yeah.
Same spot?
Well, you see the quest on the left, right? Where the buddy button is?
Oh, is that the issue?
I don't know, but that's my guess that they've never had buddies and quests at the same time, right?
Right.
That's my theory.
Okay. I'm very sad that he's... What did they say? He's resting? You can go into
yes.
the...
It
if
says
you go
resting.
into the...
Collection.
Get the collection for skins for Battlegrounds, you can see Sire Denathrius is resting. But I'm very sad that he's resting because his buddy looks so interesting.
What does his buddy
Endless
do again?
Gold. He gives you... Battlecry give you a sack of gold. And so my guess is it's this card that is a spell that when you play it, you get 8 gold coins into your hand. And since it's a Battlecry, you can get 2 sacks into your hand with Bran. And then that's 16 gold. And then remember, there's 3 buddies, so you can do that 3 different times. So
that's a lot of sacks.
Gold.
That's so many.
Yeah, lots of sacks.
Something about that makes me uncomfortable.
What about golden balls? You like the golden balls in Battlegrounds?
I mean, they kind of go hand in sack. I don't know.
And
Yeah, it's so with Denathrius buddy, you actually discover a quest, and then when you complete the quest, you get an 8 gold coin pouch.
yeah, that's the reward.
Okay.
Because most times when your quest is, do something like attack 10 times, and then you get a reward. The reward is the gold.
So how would that work? You can't have 2 quests. I guess you can have 2 quests. So when you brand, you would just get 2 quests, and then you'd have to get it to get both of your sacks.
That's my guess. But, I haven't got to test it.
It seems complicated. I'm not surprised that there were some unintended, unexpected interactions here because there's just a lot going on. You're going to run out of space over the hero.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's a Christmas tree for sure.
Well, hopefully he'll be back soon. Also, there is a very strange bug for those of you Battlegrounds completionists. If you've completed every regular daily, every regular weekly, every event quest, every BG weekly, then you can't open the journal, and if you open the BG's rewards tab, you crash the client. So if you've done everything, and then you try and check in your rewards, you'll crash. But, easy fix, leave 1 quest. Just leave 1 daily, you'll be fine.
Do you know how many OCD people are crying when you say this? Just leave 1 up. Like, no, I must finish these quests. They're sitting here. I need the gold.
You remember when a notification icon in the client for a month was bringing people existential pain. that floating red
Oh,
exclamation mark.
pain.
Yeah.
Oh, I cannot stand a red dot anywhere. I check my emails throughout stream, and I don't respond to people because I need to get rid of that red dot. I look at it, I get rid of it, and I forget about it because I was streaming when I saw it. So I hate
Well,
it.
you're gonna have to
I
either
can't.
float a quest or not check your rewards.
Well, you tell me, are you the type of person who has like 800 unread emails and 800 Discord notifications?
Oh no.
No, okay, good. Oof.
Sometimes when Brian Kibler is the worst that I know about this. He will post
Yes.
pictures of an inbox with like 11,000 unread emails, and I don't get
Yep.
as many emails as Brian Kibler, but that's still like physically painful.
It's truly painful. I wonder how many like business things he's totally just missed on.
He's doing all right, so I don't know, but
Doing fine. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, that's not the life I lead. I am a wake up in the morning and deal with my notifications kind of person. So yeah, I was the same way as you. Whenever I saw that red exclamation, I would click it instinctively every time. And then
Yep.
I would check my phone and then look up without moving in the Hearthstone screen and check it again. Oh wait, yeah, of course there's nothing there. And it got to the point where I had achievements that were done and I wasn't checking because I assumed it was fake. It got me twice.
I could see that.
Well, that's not there. Listen, just leave one quest, everybody, and you'll be fine. And if you've completed the rewards track already, I mean, usually people that play as much as you do, Slysssa, you completed the BG's rewards track in like 3 weeks, if not sooner. The 40
Yeah,
quest
I think
thing?
it was definitely like a week or so.
But yeah, right. I underestimate how much you play, especially when new content comes out.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're going to be going in there anytime soon, so it should be fine.
No, it's fine. Yeah, for me. I'm sorry for
Yes.
you people.
What do you mean, you people?
You people who don't play 10 hours a day.
Probably healthy. Well, it is now officially BG's o'clock. Gosh, we have so much to talk about. Let's jump right in.
Have a good battle, friend.
Where do we start? Okay, so first, they changed starting health totals. That's a new thing.
Did.
Like
They did, yeah.
30 instead of 40, except for Patchwork. He's fine. Patchwork is the same. But everyone else starts at 30 instead of 40. There's no longer an armor tier. Because before, they were in these buckets that no one remembered which tier was what. And they had to break it out in the patch notes finally, like, this is actually a buff, this is actually a nerf, because I had no idea. Wasn't even listed on the website. Now, every hero has a specific amount of armor, and it's on the website. Always the same value, and you can see it on the website. Love that. Love that.
Yes, it's important. There's times where, at least recently, I've been like, wait, am I strong or weak? Have I been taking damage? And I'm like, wait, well, I don't even know where I started from. And then I have to go look, like, where does, Alec here start from? Because you just don't know. But yeah, it's all in this table, reveal table. Yeah.
This huge
Good to
huge
know.
table that has every hero's armor listed, all their buddy tiers, and what's really interesting as well, there are a few that have asterisks. There are some heroes that specifically perform well at higher MMRs or lower MMRs that have different armor totals based on your rating. So,
Oh.
Dancin' Daryl in higher MMR lobbies gets worse. Any Storm Coil gets better in higher MMR. She gets 3 more armor. Maiev has less armor because she's better at higher MMR. Patches the Pirate has more armor at higher MMR. And Ysera has more armor. So the tribal-specific ones that really perform well for players that are a little less experienced get more armor at your MMR. Whereas heroes like Daryl and Maiev, which get much better when you know what you're doing, end up getting their armor tuned down so they don't overpower the lobby. I think that's really
Interesting.
cool.
Yeah, because there is some big discrepancies, right? There's so many times where I'm like, why does this hero have so much armor? It's such a good hero. But then you realize, if you're in the top 1%, like you're not the majority, you're not who they're catering to. So it's nice to see that they actually are going to cater to like the 1% and the 50%, right? with little tweaks like that.
Do you think that like Jandis or Lich Bajial should have been on here? Because those are the ones that I hear about a lot. Jandis in particular at really high ratings.
Yeah, Jandis and Lich Baz. Is it Bazile? How do you say? I just call it Lich B. They're both extremely good at high MMR because high MMR knows how to really abuse their hero powers and like abuse taking damage. But lower MMRs, I can definitely understand why the skill cap of those heroes are so high. So yeah, I could see them being on this list eventually. Because Lich Boss does not need armor.
No, it's I have a very specific scientific rating system. I used my J-Correct radar. Whatever he's tweeting about, I'm like, all right, they should probably do something about that at high MMR.
Oh yeah, J-Correct. The other thing too is I wonder if in the future they would change armor based on what minion types are available.
Oh, they could do that.
For example, Jandis, is amazing with Murloc, Elemental, Beasts. But if those three aren't in, what is she? I don't know what she's doing.
Yeah, she's not. You can cycle a couple battle cries, but she's really there for econ stuff, right? Like it's for econ battle cries. Like Alleycat in particular is kind of the notable example.
Yep, Cat is really good with her because that will help you get. If you get Alleycat on turn 1, then you can get 2 5-drops quite quickly, and then you transition into an Elemental Murloc build from there. Also Beasts you can do stuff with because you can, kind of play with Mama Bear and buff Beast really big or the Reborn. The other thing is actually dragons. You could buff up some stuff and then sell on Chromie and then put her back in the shop every time. I haven't done that yet, but I think that could be a thing.
Yeah. There are a bunch of different ways to use Jandis, but yeah, I could easily see some lobby-specific armor adjustments. It seems like they're just adding a lot more granularity to the game, and if you look at almost all the armor tiers, very few are under 10 armor. Very, very few. So when they say they're changing base health totals, don't view it as they're trying to necessarily make the game faster. They're just trying to give themselves more tools to work with so they can go under 40 for, say, Scabs at 9.
Yeah.
And Millhouse Manastorm at 8 armor.
Yeah, so that's what I've been trying to explain to people. Like, the game is not going to go slower or faster. In general, most heroes have 30 health plus at least 10 armor, which is the 40 that we've talked about in the past. There are, I believe, 3 or 4 heroes that are under 10, that being Cookie, Scabs, Cutter Butter, I think Galewing maybe.
Galewing and Millhouse.
Millhouse, yeah. So there's very few under 10. So they're saying these uber powerful minion or heroes, we're going to make them have slightly less than 40 health. We'll give them 38 or 39. And then everyone else has more. But the other thing is, I kind of like that they made it 30 instead of 35. Because they could have said, okay, we're going to have 35 health and add armor from there. But instead, they went to 30. And I like that because once you lose all your armor, you can say to yourself, I can die in 2 turns. Right? Because there's a 15 damage cap until 8th place dies. So with that, you can say, once I lose all my armor, I can technically die in 2 hits. So I think that maybe is why the 30 health is there, or at least that's how I like to look at it.
I hadn't thought about that, but it makes a lot of sense, and it seems clever, so I'm going to assume it was intentional.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's give the credit to the devs.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just kind of I didn't expect changes this significant halfway through a season, but they're trying stuff out. Remember that, like, quests were such a huge deal. Buddies were a thing, but quests, I think, had a really, really positive reaction up front, brought a lot of attention to the mode, and the 2 months without some kind of meta progression between turns felt kind of weird to me, felt like something was missing. So I'm glad they're bringing buddies back, but I didn't expect all these changes along with them. It seems like they're just making a lot of adjustments to give themselves more control.
Yeah, I mean, so they changed the way buddies work. There used to be only 3 tiers of buddies. I think buddies were tier 2 through 4 before. Now they can be anywhere between 1 and 6. Though I don't think
Yes.
we have a 6-drop buddy.
Let me look at this handy dandy table, but I don't think so. I feel like we
I don't think
remember
so.
that.
I think they're saying allowing for it, like they have it in the system, but I don't think there is one yet. So I like that they have more tiers because that's better for adjustments to making things balanced. And they added the buddy button. So if you want to get your buddy, instead of waiting on this meter to randomly fill up, hopefully, and not hit that 99%, you get to use your decision on when you want to hit the button, which is, that's a skill cap there in itself. Like, do you want to spend 8 gold on your buddy, or are you going to wait for it to be 3 gold or lower because that's the cost of a minion?
Yes. So the way that this system works, there's a cost to buy your buddy with a button next to your hero instead of the meter. It's based on your hero's tavern tier is where it starts. It can be as cheap as 11 gold or as high as 21 with a 6-tier buddy, which you're correct, there's none in the game yet. If you win or tie, it goes down by 3 gold. If you lose, it goes down by 2 gold. And then after you buy the first time, then it resets and it costs a couple more gold for the second button because it gives you 2 of them. So you can get your golden if you keep your buddy. So the cheapest buddy will start at 11 gold on turn 1. If you win turn 1, it goes to 8. You win turn 2, it goes to 5. You can buy that pretty fast. Whereas if you have a high tier buddy at tier 5, it starts at 19. So you're looking at a few turns before you can afford that. But it's much more transparent, much easier to understand, explain, and plan for. Because the buddy button, I don't even remember the 4 conditions. There's winning combat, killing minions, popping divine shields.
Killing, popping divine shields. So people were staying on 1 so that they could have a bunch of minions die, and every time a minion died, it would go up a little bit more, and they needed to win. And then, but also it was random because it was like every time a minion died, you'd gain like 1 to 2 kind of thing. Like it wasn't always exact amounts. So that's why a lot of the times it would get people to 99%, and people get really frustrated.
And we all know from Bob's buddy, people love 99% where they don't win. They love that.
Yes.
So this is, it's simpler. I mean, how has it felt to play with for you? You can really plan for this a lot more and get an idea what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, like it's frustrating at times when you're like, oh, I should have won the last round and I didn't, and now my buddy is 1 more gold. But you could definitely plan way better. And there's times where I'm like, oh, spending 8 gold for my buddy here is totally worth it. And there's other times where I'm just like, oh man, I've got to wait for this to go down to virtually nothing. And then you have to think about, I need to click the first buddy sooner than later because then I need to get my next buddies online to get those scaling down in cost. So you don't want to wait too long for your first buddy. So there's a lot to think about. I haven't talked to any other pros on like their thoughts on how soon to click the button. I think it definitely depends per hero. But I am interested to see other people's tactics. I need to start watching other streams this weekend to see what everyone's doing with this button.
Yeah, it sounds a lot more dynamic than before, where you either like went into the tank and did arcane chalkboard math, or you just said, screw it, I'll get it when I get it. This seems like there's some real pivoting here. I think one of the bigger concerns about the first time buddies were around, people liked it up front, but it kind of got a combination of overwhelming and stale pretty quickly when you ended up having a lot of the same plans, and also you had to know all the different buddies in addition to different heroes. So whenever you picked a hero, you would play it the same way. And whenever you faced a hero, you had to know what they were doing. I wonder if this particular implementation, with the amount of just decision-making you talked about already, do you think this will be less stale? Do you think it'll last a little longer in terms of shelf life?
Yeah, I do, because I mean, there's a lot more to tweak to keep things balanced, and they found other ways to keep things balanced, which is nice, because I feel like before people just figured out all the broken buddies and just stuck with them. Where, okay, now they have more balancing techniques because they can make 1 to 6 tiers instead of 2 to 4. and adjust the maybe initial cost of the buttons, stuff like that. So I just think it's a lot better now in terms of balance, and therefore people are going to play a lot more things. Therefore, they're not just going to rely on certain broken techniques. But they also implemented certain cards no longer have battle cries. Battle cries were really broken with buddies when you found a brand. And so for those broken ones, they deleted the battle cry word and you used choose one. Or some of them, instead of having battle cry, they had it on the sell. So when you sell your minion, you get something instead of on a battle cry. So I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, like they had to add buddies for all the heroes that didn't have one, but yeah, I'm looking. There are a lot of death rattles, a lot of triggered abilities, some avenge mechanics, and some total reworks as well. A lot of these just are different.
And it's crazy. Like, I've been playing nonstop for, 3 days now, and there's so many heroes I still haven't got to play. There's some heroes I've played 5 times, and there's some heroes I've never played. Like, I haven't got to play Patches yet, and I love Patches buddy. I haven't got to play Putricide. Putricide has a new buddy and looks super interesting to me, and I haven't seen Putricide yet, and I'm so sad.
Death rattle summon a random undead creation. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I wonder if that has random tiers. People are sure gonna love another gas coiler. Gonna love that.
Right? I mean, he looks so fun, and I haven't gotten Putricide offered yet.
And I see what you mean with, like, Gallywix's buddy. Give a minion, it's choose one, give a minion +1 attack for each gold you spent this turn, or 1 health. I think that used to be just Battlecry +1/+1 for each gold you spent.
Yep. And so if you used it with Bran, you would get 2/2 for each health, what you spent. And so, like, recently, I'm trying to just give attack or just health, and you have to think about this way more. Is way less busted than it was in the past. Also, Ticketus, the ticket collector, is now on sell. Like, when you sell the minion, you get the discover a prize, where before it was a battle cry, so you could get 2 prizes. That makes me sad, but it makes sense.
Same with Yogg Saron. No more, like, stacking spins forever. Like, you can't just spin the wheel over and over again. It's like, I think there are a few less Trollden highlights here. A few less clips. But overall, it's probably healthier for the game. And also, these changes just kind of, they make sense. And they're things that, like, players think of. Just saying, I wish this card didn't work with Bran and it would be fine. They were like, okay, let's do that. And they just did it.
They still left a couple broken ones, so that was nice of them. Like, they left Sir Finley still as a battle cry, so you can still get a ton of buddies through Sir Finley.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because Sir Finley is battle cry, get the buddy of the hero you picked. So if you have it with Bran, then you can get more of them.
Not quite friend of a friend level, but still pretty powerful.
I mean, ETC is the friend of a friend that we never expected.
He is. He's in a band, so, like, it's not friend of a friend. He knows a guy. That's what ETC is.
True. But he's the manager, right?
He is. So, his hero power, this is the new hero, ETC. His hero power, 4 gold. Sign a new artist, you discover a buddy. It unlocks a tier 2. So you can't do this on 1 and then press the button for whatever reason. And then you just discover a buddy. It has the same limitations as friend of a friend. I forget what those were, but you can't pick anything that breaks the game, basically.
So friend of a friend, basically, so limitations to ETC is saying we're not going to offer you a buddy that only works with specific heroes. For example...
So Cariel's buddy...
Cariel's buddy says, like, we will give 1 attack or 1 health to your hero power. So that should not be offered to ETC. But it is a bug and is offered to ETC right now, and they're fixing it. It has not been fixed yet. So, but yeah, so he should only be offered buddies that work for any hero. And he could do some kind of broken things if you haven't discovered yet. one of the first broken things you should try and do is get Elise's buddy from ETC. So ETC's hero power costs 4. Elise's buddy is reduce your hero power by 2. So now his hero power costs 2.
Is this permanent reduction?
So it's a permanent reduction.
Oh boy.
So now his hero power costs 2, meaning you're getting a minion for 2 gold. Minions cost 3. So you're already making yourself an economy hero at this point. If you get another Elise, now your hero power is free, and you're getting a free buddy every turn. Can you imagine a free friend of a friend every turn? Like, it's insane.
I would like to do that. I'd like that.
Yeah, so
I'm going to go play BGs later
Elise-
and do that.
Elise is a very, very powerful minion to get with ETC early. Highly recommend.
Yes, I would like to do that. But yeah, it makes sense that, like, Gale Wings buddy, your flight pass triggered twice. If I don't have flight pass, I don't need that buddy.
No, yeah, those won't get offered to you.
And
yeah, just ones that can.
Yeah. So, and there are a bunch of hero power reworks. There are a bunch of new minions too. The hero power reworks, there are actually only 2. There's Shutterwalk. Man, they redid Shutterwalk again. I mean, this has also been a high MMR hero forever.
Yes.
Where they got rid of the Shutterlings finally. They just said, you know what, we're going to stop trying to tweak that. It's 0 gold, trigger a friendly battle cry, that's it.
Yep, and it still doesn't work in a beast lobby because of the alley cat craziness.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a shame because Shutterlings are really cool, but they could be super overpowered. But then, I don't know. He's been a hard one to manage, and I totally get that. I haven't got to play him yet. So I don't really know how good his new hero power is.
So when you're streaming, do you try and pick heroes that you haven't played before, or do you like see a Dawn Grasp or a Scabs and you're like, well, I have to pick this now?
It's a mix. Like, if I know, this could be a good YouTube video, I definitely would pick it because I'm like, this is interesting. But if it looks boring, then I'm like, I'm not going to pick a boring hero, even if it's new. Like, I'm not going to, it's a fair mix.
I'm looking at statistically what's best right now. These were not the heroes I expected to be the best. Looking at just top 50%. The top 5 heroes right now: Scabs number 1, Bagelsworth number 2, Dino Tamer Bran, Lord Jaraxxus, and Dawn Grasp. Huh.
Yes, the Scabs right now is really good because he can steal from ETC. Anything that can steal from ETC is really good.
So a friend of a friend of a friend.
Exactly. So Tess and Scabs are in a really good boat right now. I would move it up to the top 20% if I were looking at the top heroes, because a lot of times in the top 50% you'll see heroes like Jaraxxus who like lead you in the correct direction.
And he drops out at top
easily.
20% and swaps with Shutterwalk, who is 5th place at top 20%.
Oh, I haven't played that yet.
Yeah. Looks like Shutterwalk, they're saying Demons is the best composition. That's, I guess you just snack constantly?
You must, yeah.
I mean, what else do demons do? They just snack. It's kind of their thing.
They love to eat. Well, and two, the Shutterwalk's buddy makes minions in. Whenever you play a minion goes on to Bob's Tavern with more stats, so that's more to snack on.
And also the demon elemental crossover, the Felemental. That's probably really good to stack the battle cry on, isn't it? Because it buffs the shop.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I buy that. I see that. Fascinating.
Yeah. Malagos's really good. I can definitely see that. The first place game with Mr. Bigglesworth today. Yeah, he was good.
It's his buddy is a tier 2 minion that says at the start of your turn you get a plain minion from the lowest health opponent's warband. So a tier 2 minion that gives you a free minion every turn seems to be pretty strong. I wouldn't be surprised they just nudge that up a little bit because you don't even care what you get. It's just econ. Just a free minion.
It's econ, and then what happens is a lot of time the person with the lowest health is the greediest person.
Oh.
So you're hoping to get their greedy stuff.
I see
You
that.
know? Yeah.
Okay. Well, Cat is powerful, and we should have. It doesn't seem like there's anything that's a major balance outlier right now, but the window for them to balance with a data-only patch will be next Thursday, a week from today. So it's entirely possible some of these get nudged, but also they do have a lot of ability to tweak things server-side, not Tavern Tiers of Buddies, unless they want to leave visual discrepancies in the game, because they've done that before. Whenever they had to change a buddy under the old system, they could do it server-side, but it would show the wrong tier in the corner. Depends how okay they are with that. They did the same thing with minions a couple times. They just nudged them up and down, but it shows up as one tier and then actually it costs another. So I don't see anything right now that looks like a crazy outlier, but maybe there's some minions out there, because there are a lot of new minions too. Not just the buddies, but actually new minions. There's one that makes your buddy cost less. There's Leeching Fellhound, tier 3, that costs health instead of gold to buy. That's a fun new mechanic they're trying out.
That one. Although it says cost health and it takes away armor, so that's confusing. But
oh, so then it deals damage instead of costing gold, I guess.
It takes damage. I think they should reword it, but
yes. So have any of the new minions stood out to you?
Dr. Boombox is really fun. That replaced Kaboombot, which was a staple in Battlegrounds, the 2/2, deal 4 damage. And now we have a 4-drop, 7/1, deal 7 damage to the 2 nearest enemy minions. So it's powerful, but it's also tech. You could put it far right with Taunt, and it can deal with like Mama Bears or Barons that are on the far right. And it's a really good mid-game card. Or it could be a good tech. So I think that's a really interesting card. Also, Slyraptor is amazing. It's the replacement for Savannah Highmane. Savannah Highmane kind of boring. Slyraptor really cool. Summon another random beast, set stats to 7/7. Yeah, I really like Slyraptor so far.
First time I played with this, dropped a Cave Hydra. Love Slyraptor. Big fan.
Yeah. You could just all get like a 7/7 cleave out of nowhere, or it's fun with frog comp. So yeah,
it's interesting.
Fan.
Yeah,
I don't know how I feel about what's the card called? It's like a fireworks card. I don't know how I feel about that one.
Oh, Fireworks Fanatic.
I played with it for the first time today. I didn't play with it for 2 days, and today I finally played with it a little bit.
It's a strange card, and it's another new mechanic they're trying out. It's a tier 4, 4/3, no tag. Whenever you get a minion you already have, give your minions +1/+1. So this translates to whenever you buy or somehow generate a minion that matches something on your board, as soon as it hits your hand, your board gets buffed. So it's not whenever you play it, it's just whenever you add something to your hand that matches a minion you have in play.
This is going to be really powerful at lower MMRs that really value pairs and triples.
Oh, those alley cats are going to be huge. That paired alley cat they kept for like 6 turns, it's going to be like a 6/6. It's going to be enormous.
Yeah, because I find that lower MMRs, a lot of people are just really focused on tripling, so they're always trying to pick up pairs, and they don't ever give them up at the point that they probably should give them up. So I could see him being very powerful there. But I don't know in the long run how powerful he is. He replaced Rendell. I do miss Rendell. Yeah.
So, and speaking of replacements, they also did try a little experiment for a couple weeks. We got our hammy back for just a minute. Hamul Rune Totem. And now he's gone again. They warned us. I miss him.
Yeah, Hamul was great. Hamul, he would refresh the shop with your minion type, and so it really helped out elementals and pirates. But unfortunately, it was just temporary.
Would you prefer to have loved and lost than to have never have loved at all? Should they have not brought him back, or should they what do you think?
I'm glad they brought him back for a little bit just to play with. They let us know early it's temporary, so it was fun to play with for a little bit.
Would you want them to do this again? There are a few minions I can think of that I'd be really curious to see where they would land. Faceless
Cannon.
Tavern Goer, Arcane Cannon. I'd love to see where,
Boat.
like... Yeah! Yep, boat! How long has it been since we've seen a boat? Maybe just bring back boat and original Pagel and just see what happens.
They brought back a buoy with the what's it called? The buddy for jailer is basically a buoy, or it's the boat's sidekick?
Oh gosh. I
A
mean,
little boat that
a
saves
dinghy?
you. A dinghy. They brought in a dinghy.
Was it called Dinghy? I don't know.
They should have named it Dinghy.
They should have. Yeah, I'd be curious to see what ends up happening with some of these powerful older cards that we remember. Don't bring back Megasaur. Well, I mean, maybe try Megasaur, but probably don't. Probably don't bring back Holy Mackerel. But there are a few that I'd be interested. Like, what would Illustra be like these days? What would she be like?
Illustra would be interesting. I'd like to see that.
I kind of forgot about her era for a bit, and then somebody reminded me that she was released as 7/7. It's like, holy hell, that card was nuts.
She was a big girl. Then she went back to 4/4, and then they just removed her. She's off in tier 7 land.
Yeah. Well, before we get out of here, a couple questions for those listeners that maybe haven't been as wired into BGs and are now going to try it out while they wait for the standard rotation. Even though standard's kind of interesting right now, BG's I played a bunch of lobbies. It's pretty fun. What leveling curves do you think changed? They moved the tavern tier 4 to 5, another couple gold again. And with the button, it works. It's not the same as the meter, but I feel like early games are going to be a little bit more varied now. What have you found yourself generally doing, and what advice would you give to people that maybe haven't played in a bit to get their feet wet again?
Oh, okay. So for curves, I would say right now I've been sticking to more of a standard curve where you buy on 1 level on 2. I've been, for the most part, being standard, but I guess some heroes are more specific. If a specific hero has its own leveling curve, sticking with that. But I need to play with that a bit more. It's hard to tell at this point because the first few days of a meta, it's the Wild West. Like, people are just going crazy. So I don't think it's really been determined yet what to level. But you made a good point. Going from 4 to 5 is a lot harder now. Tier 4 to tier 5, they increased by 2 gold. And so I find myself, when you get to tier 4, to get to 5, the next turn costs 10 gold. So sometimes if I feel strong, I just do it. I'm just like, that's my whole turn is just leveling. That's it. But I'm there. Because if I don't do that, then I get stuck on 4 forever. And I can't find a space to do it. So sometimes if you're just strong enough, you just got to go for it and go to 5.
I felt that in particular on Millhouse. I felt like leaving tier 4 just never happened.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're elementals, who cares?
They improved tier 4 with the new Beast Slyraptor with that new mech. So there has been some improvement to tier 4 where you're like, okay, I could stay here if Beast or mechs are in, but if those aren't in, I would just level.
That makes sense. I guess if you really want refreshing elemental, then maybe, but even then, you really want access to the higher tier Ellies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't know. I mean, I guess as far as just when to press the button, it's going to be a pretty contextual question too, right?
Yeah, it depends so much on the hero. Like, in my mind, I was like, oh, I'll press it when it's 3 gold because that's the cost of a minion. But there's so many times where you're like, well, the value of this would be so much better right away. And so you might need to press it a little early. Like, for example, Bear Off. Bear Off's buddy gives you, every time you spend a gold, you gain a gold. So if you have 5 gold in your hand and the buddy costs 7 gold, well, you can get all that gold back. Just press it right away. And then that way you can get your second and third buddy online faster. Or Silas. Silas's buddy now has this like cooking by the book effect where every time you discover a minion, it gains stats. So like, let's say you're about to discover a triple. Well, you want that to have more stats. So you should try to get the buddy down before it. So you might get the buddy a little bit sooner.
Yeah. And I'm looking at like Azamat. Their buddy is Tamuzo, which is Azamat backwards. That's fun. It has Avenge 2 upgrade the tentacular hero power by +1/+1, and the golden is +2/+2. Earlier Avenge minions snowball harder. Like, we know this from how Avenge has worked the entire time it's been in the game.
Yeah, so like a hero like this, you might just stay on tier 1 and get a bunch of like undead minions with the micro mummy or the 2/1 taunt, and then
or Icky
you
Imp
can
or
really
something.
start to, and then you can just more do a shiny curve with it, get that. And if you're doing that kind of curve, then you're going to be winning early games. Therefore, you're going to get to your buddy faster, because when you win, the buddy button reduces by 3 gold instead of by 2 gold. So yeah, I think every hero is so different. It's really hard to say. You really have to think about each one specifically.
Well, you have convinced me. The only solution is to go play a bunch of BGs.
I know. I really want to play right now that we've been talking about it.
Okay. Well, we also have to let you go because you streamed for 6 hours today, and you should maybe see Squish every so often, and I'm sure the puppies want to go for a WALK.
They can spell, so, be careful.
They don't have headphones, so I feel safe.
That's true. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
They're not listening.
That's good. Yes. They'll listen later as soon as they fix the background audio thing on
Yes.
BGs.
Yes,
So,
exactly. Because I'm a Patreon member, so I get it early.
Oh, look at you. Thank you for your support. And that was a great segue because we are supported by our epic patrons. And you can become a patron just like Slysssa by going to patreon.com/TAC. Gets you access to the TAC Discord as well as other perks. Really big thanks to our Patreon producers, Dustin C., Jarrett F. You can follow the show at TAC Podcast. Catch the show live. We're normally Wednesday nights at 8 Eastern. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in into this off time. And Slysssa for being so flexible with the schedule. We'll have Joce back next week. She's doing all right. Slysssa, where can we find you if for some reason we don't know where to do that?
I stream every day on Twitch, twitch.tv/Slysssa, SLYSSSA, 3 S's. And
you got it right.
Did I lost track. I can't count that high. I have a YouTube. Daily YouTube videos go out. YouTube is Slysssa HS. And also Twitter. I love tweeting. I have an Instagram and TikTok as well. Those are fun, but I tweet all the time. So Twitter is Slysssa.
I opened your YouTube page and you're just staring at me in that banner. That is an intense banner.
Made by Team Liquid.
Oh yeah, that's right. Liquid Slysssa. Well, thank you so much for coming on. For those of you looking for Joce, Joce Plays on Twitter, right here at twitch.tv/Joce Plays as well, and The Gamer's In, her general gaming podcast that comes out every week. And as for me, the hub of my content, twitter.com/ridiculoushat. I also do 2 other Hearthstone podcasts, Coin Concede and Vicious Syndicate. So thank you everyone for tuning in for the BG's episode this week. I normally don't cross-plug too much, but if you are looking for more card coverage, Coin Concede is tomorrow. We're going to be talking a lot about Standard and a lot less about BG's, because that's my Standard focus show. So it's a 1-2 punch this week. Check that out over at coinconcede.com or Vicious Syndicate. If you are a high legend gamer, or you like to hear about that stuff, vicioussyndicate.com. It's a data-driven look at the high-level legend meta game. I don't know how many S's were in that. But that's gonna do it for this week on The Angry Chicken. So thank you everyone for listening. Until next time, job's done.
Done.
Yay! All right. The leaf blower stopped. The train horn was right at the end of the episode. It's all fantastic.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Really appreciate you tuning in. And we had thank you for keeping me on track. An hour-long show is going to be great to edit and great for the listeners because they can't play while they listen. So we got to be focused. We got to be precise. Yes.
We did it.
And live viewers, thank you so much for being here. We're gonna hop off here. But thank you so much. Bye.